Hi students, today I am going to explain about the cellular structure and the functions. Okay, before we move to the introduction, I will give a brief summary about the cell. Cell is the basic building unit of the structure and function of all living organisms. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, we are coming to discuss the different cellular structure of living organisms. Okay, you know all organisms are created by one or more cells. We know some organisms are unicellular, which means some organisms are created by only one cell. So we call them as unicellular. But some organisms we know they are multicellular. For an example, like human, elephant, cats, all are multicellular organisms. Why? They are created by many cells. Okay. So all organisms or living things are made of cells. Okay. You know, normally the most organisms are familiar with multicellular made of many cells. That we know some because we are familiar with multicellular animals. Why? Because we can see multicellular animals by our naked eye. But if we consider unicellular organisms like bacteria, we cannot see by our own naked eyes. Okay, so let's move to the next section. You can see, okay, we have already discussed about the things. They are according to the cell structure. We can divide organism into two parts: unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Okay, so once we discuss about the unicellular and multicellular organisms, so this very important part here. We have two different terms. The first one is what? The prokaryotes or prokaryotic cells. Eukaryotes or eukaryotic cells. Okay. So let's see. Okay, what are the meaning of these two terms? Okay, normally prokaryotes are what? The prokaryotes are very primitive organisms with unicellular structures. Okay. When we come to discuss about the eukaryotes are the organisms which have very advanced and very complex cellular structure. Because the majority of eukaryotes are multicellular organisms. Okay, let's move and then we will discuss these things descriptively. Okay, in this lesson. Okay. So we know because according to the definition of the prokaryotic, normally the pro means no. Okay. So now we will discuss deeply and descriptively what is the prokaryotic organism. Okay. Who are the prokaryotes? Okay. So normally we categorize unicellular organisms as prokaryotic organisms. Why? They have very primitive cellular structures. That means they don't have very developed cellular structures as in eukaryotic organisms. Normally, we call unicellular microorganisms as prokaryotes. Okay. So normally, when we come to understand about their cellular structure, normally prokaryotic organism or unicellular microorganisms, they don't have very evolved or very complex nucleus. Okay, because we have already discussed the cellular structure in a previous lesson. Okay, so and also these are the main structures, because when we consider the prokaryotic organisms, they don't have very developed nucleus inside their cell, and also always they have lack membrane bound organelles. That means normally they don't have very complex organelles. Okay, they don't have very complex membrane membrane bound organelles, because we discussed about the organelles in previous lessons. Okay, organelles are the unique subparts of a cell which have one or more specific functions inside the cells. Because for an example, nucleus is organelles. Okay, nucleus is one of organelles found inside the cell. Okay, normally nucleus is the main controlling unit of the cell. Okay, so these are the basic characteristics of the prokaryotic cells. Normally in prokaryotic organisms they don't have a distinct nucleus, and also they don't have a membrane bound organelles. That means they have a very primitive cellular structure. Okay, so normally bacteria and archaebacteria are categorized as prokaryotic organisms. That means because they are unicellular and they don't have a well-developed or well-developed cellular structure. Okay, okay. Now and also prokaryotic cells are very simple and small. Okay, okay. Let's move to the next slide, because you can see this diagram shows the basic structure of a prokaryotic cell. Especially this is a bacterial cell. Okay, this diagram shows the basic structure of a prokaryotic cell. You can see when we consider the structure, when we consider the cellular structure, they don't have any well-developed cellular structure. You can see there are no any membrane-bound organelles. Okay, you can see always they have a cell wall and also cell membrane. But the cell membrane is also not well developed as in the eukaryotic cells. We will discuss everything step by step. Okay, and also they don't have a very advanced nucleus. Okay, you can see these are some examples for the prokaryotic organisms, because especially prokaryotic organisms are bacteria and archaebacteria. Okay, so we will move to the eukaryotic category. That means we know when we consider the you mean two. Okay, when we consider the eukaryotic organisms, always eukaryotic organisms are the most advanced and most complex organisms in the world, because we are human. Okay, and also the other advanced animals are belong to this category, eukaryotes. That means they have a very advanced and very complex cellular structure. Okay, you can see. Okay, eukaryotic organisms may be unicellular or multicellular organism. For an example, so algae and also protists, some fungi are unicellular eukaryotic organisms. Why? They have only one cell, but the cells are eukaryotic. That means the cells are well developed than prokaryotic, but they have only one cell. That's why we categorize them as unicellular eukaryotic organisms. Okay, that means unicellular means only one single cell they have, but they have very developed or very developed cellular structure. So, like amoeba, algae, and protists, and also some of the fungi belongs to unicellular eukaryotic category. Okay. So you can see when we consider the eukaryotic, they have very complex and very developed nucleus, and also they have membrane-bound organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, like mitochondria and chloroplast, and also the other organelles. Okay, they have very developed and very developed membrane-bound organelles. Okay. So, and also when we compare the size with the prokaryotic cells, eukaryotic cells are larger than prokaryotic cells, and also they have a very complex cell structure. Okay, and also for an example, the animals, plants, fungi, and protists are belong to this eukaryotic category. Okay, and also because bacteria never comes for this eukaryotic category, because why? Bacteria has the primary organism, so they don't belong to the eukaryotes. Okay, always bacteria belongs to the prokaryotes. Bacteria and archaea belongs to the prokaryotes. Okay, you can see this is a descriptive diagram of the eukaryotic cell. You can see when we see this diagram, you can see these cell organelles are very complex and very advanced than in the prokaryotic organism. You can see when we consider the nucleus, it has two membranes, and also you can see when we see the endoplasmic reticulum, you can see how they are developed inside the eukaryotic cell. As we see in the mitochondria and the other organelles, you can see they have very advanced and very developed structures. Okay, that means they have very complex structures. You can see that means this is the main difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Always eukaryotic cells, they have very advanced and complex structures. Okay, so you can see this is a diagram of a eukaryotic cell. Okay, so you can see these are some examples for the eukaryotic cells. You can see this is an animal cell. Okay, this is a nerve cell. This figure shows a paramecium cell. Okay, it is a cell of a plant cell. Okay, you can see because when we observe the eukaryotic cells through a advanced compound microscope, we can see the eukaryotic cells like this. Okay, like in these pictures. Okay, so you can see how they are advanced. Okay, how these structures are very advanced than the prokaryotic. Okay, you can see here it is a comparison between prokaryote and eukaryotes. You can see when we consider the structure, the prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Okay, so this is a difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Okay, normally in prokaryotic the nucleus is lack. That means actually almost all they don't have a nucleus, but when we consider the eukaryotic, they have a nucleus. But when we compare the prokaryotic, okay, with the eukaryotic, the cell membrane is very undeveloped. They have a very simple cell membrane. That means the structure of the cell membrane is not too much complex as in the eukaryotic organism. That means, for example, when we consider the cell membrane of the eukaryotic organism, cell membranes are mainly composed by phospholipids and proteins. Okay, but here, because when we consider prokaryotic, the cell membrane is not too much advanced as in the eukaryotic. And always, when we consider the DNA structure, they have very small one-strand DNA. You can see DNA is a free protein. Okay, but here DNA is in the nucleus because nucleus houses all DNA and RNA molecules in eukaryotic organisms. Okay, so we know the bacteria belong to the prokaryotic. But when we come to eukaryotic, plants, animals, fungi, protists belong to the eukaryotic. Okay, we know when we compare the sizes, normally prokaryotic cells are smaller than the eukaryotic cells. Okay, so the next one is when we consider the reproduction process. In prokaryotes, they do through asexual reproduction process. But when we come to the eukaryotic, normally they do